Looking for music that lifts your spirit and fills your heart? Experience the powerful sound of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now streaming on all your favorite music platforms. Find the Tabernacle Choir on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Pandora. Let the music of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square inspire you today and every day. Whether you're at home, in the car, or on the go, enjoy the beauty of their world-renowned sound anytime. The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, streaming now.
Welcome back into the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles, thank you for tuning in, making us a part of your weekend, your Saturday morning. Hope you've got some great plans today. It's been hot lately, so hopefully your plans include driving around in your air-conditioned vehicle or sitting inside your air-conditioned house or maybe hanging out at the pool or something, you know.
Ooh, I haven't been to a pool in forever.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I was in a pool.
I used to work at a pool.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Was it like the rec center pool?
Yeah, well, like Brigham City has like an outdoor pool. I was a lifeguard there the summer after I graduated. It was a cool job.
You have any fun stories? Anybody drown on your watch?
So the one time I jumped in the water to save somebody.
Oh, you did?
It was a little kid.
Uh-huh.
He wasn't actually drowning. He was just playing.
Oh, okay.
I thought he was drowning.
Yeah.
I blow my whistle and jump in. And as soon as I jump in the water, he like stops flailing around and like stares at me. And I'm like in the water and I stop because he stopped and we're like staring at each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'm in the water. Is everything okay? It was so awkward. And then I felt bad because
at least you're prepared. At least you're ready, right? If anybody,
Yeah.
if
Well, he
there
was
is an actual child drowning, you were ready.
he was flailing up and down and he was kind of like jumping around.
Yeah.
So I thought it was real.
Yeah.
And so I like picked him up. I was like, is everything okay? And then by this time, this kid's dad came over. And he's like, the dad got mad at him. And I felt really bad after that. Because not only is it like embarrassing for him, you know,
Right.
getting fake rescued, but then his dad comes over and like yells at him in front of the whole pool. So
See, you were the lifeguard. I was the kid who would pretend to drown. I was the kid. I feel, looking back at it now, like I feel bad and terrible for doing it, but like I would be. I was a troublemaker in the pool at our local rec pool.
yeah,
Yeah. One time,
like the Sandlot.
no, not to that extent. But one time, me and some of the football players went over to the Kearns Rec Center, and they have this super high diving board, and
Okay.
there's rules, right? One at a time, so everybody can jump off safely. And I think a group of 5 of us. I wasn't on it. I was down at the bottom.
Sure.
Holding the phone, recording, right? But like 5 of them just like straight back to back, like jumped off, and
Broke the rules.
yeah, they were not happy with us.
Did you get kicked out?
Not that day.
Oh, okay.
Not that day. But they have told me stories about them getting kicked out. So
Public pools.
It
is fun, though.
Such a great time, man.
I keep getting like Facebook memories every summer. I get a Facebook memory of I have a post from like 15 years ago, like going to the pool today at 12. There's like one comment.
Yeah, I miss rec days. I miss pool days. I gotta hit up a pool, man. It's too hot.
It is hot.
Yeah.
Let's jump in to this to start the show off. I wanted to go in this direction because last week, obviously, the big news was LeBron James signing with the Philadelphia 76ers. Presumably, that's going to be his final team, yada, yada, yada. We spent the whole first segment talking about it last week. So if you missed that, you want to hear it, go back and find it wherever you get your podcast, The Saturday Show or KSLSports.com on the podcast page. Not to toot our own horn, but, station was off Friday. So we were kind of like the first
We did. We were
reaction
we were the first to jump in and talk about LeBron James.
But that was like the last big domino of free agency. And there's a couple things that we are waiting on, namely a sign-in trade or an extension for Jalen Duren, I would say is probably the next big thing. Peyton Watson with the Nuggets. We'll see what happens there. But for the most part, NBA free agency and all the big names are tied up. And all the consequential names are tied up and signed. Mm-hmm. So now that all that is in the rearview mirror, I kind of wanted to go through and do like a winners and losers list. I love taking a broad look at the end and kind of just saying, okay, who got better? Who got worse?
Yeah.
Who should have got better and didn't? So let's talk about it.
Let's do it. Let's start. We'll start positive. We'll start with some winners, and
Okay.
I think obviously the pretty big one and the pretty massive one that came down the pipe this last week was, of course, LeBron James. That was LeBron James and the Philadelphia 76ers. Them getting LeBron James at the minimum, getting off the Paul George contract, and now having this super team. They're clearly winners of this offseason. Big Perk on ESPN already has them as the best team in the East. Saw that yesterday on NBA Today.
There's a lot of love for them, and I get it.
A lot of love.
Honestly, well, they would have been the biggest winners even without adding LeBron because of the Jaylen Brown trade.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
adding Jaylen Brown, I mean, a finals MVP to this team that was already, I mean, they beat the Celtics in the playoffs last year. Clearly an ascending team. Joel Embiid, when he plays, how rarely that is, but when he plays, he's still a very, very good player. VJ Edgecombe, rising star. Tyrese Maxey is an all-star. You add Jaylen Brown to the mix, and that's a serious team in the East. And then on top of that, to your point, you add LeBron James, who no longer is he the best player in the NBA, but he's still a savvy vet. Mm-hmm. And to get that on a minimum, yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. They might have too many egos in the room to actually do anything in the East, but on paper, that's a really good roster. And I think, to your point, very clearly the biggest winners of free agency, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's any team who had an off season so far, right? Like the Philadelphia 76ers. And like you mentioned, like we talked a little bit about it last week. It's more than just having a shiny roster on paper.
Yeah.
You have to actually go out there and do stuff. And again, we talked like we mentioned it last week. It's going to come down to Joel Embiid, his health. It's going to come down to how good is the actual depth on this Philadelphia 76ers team. But just looking at it from the free agency perspective, just looking at it from the LeBron James perspective, from the Jaylen Brown perspective, they are the clear winners of this NBA free offseason so far.
And they didn't have to give up anything really to get Jaylen Brown. I mean, they moved Paul George, which is the worst contract in the league. More on that in a second. And what was it? A couple swaps, right? Or like it was really nothing of consequence to get a player of Jaylen Brown's caliber. I mean, this is a dude that was Finals MVP a couple of years ago, MVP candidate this season, right? Like they did not have to move VJ Edgecombe or any of their young talent to get this. They essentially added Jaylen Brown and LeBron James for free. Like, and that is a big
massive,
get.
and that's massive. Those are the two massive players, two massive names.
You want to go? You want to go another winner next, or you want to go losers?
We could flip back and forth.
Okay.
Let's
biggest loser.
The biggest loser. Dude,
okay.
What are we doing with? Or who's your biggest loser?
Honestly, there's two that I think could be considered the biggest loser of free agency.
Okay.
But the more I think about it, the more I ask myself, what are the Golden State Warriors doing
It has to be
with
Golden
these
State.
final years of Steph Curry's career? It is so sad
Yeah.
to watch them just handle this with malpractice. They are not doing anything to help Steph out. I think they are the only team that has not made an outside acquisition in free agency this summer. They miss out on LeBron James.
Yes.
They miss out on Giannis. Lowry, I don't know if those rumors really heated up again this offseason or not, but they have had time and time again, they've had chances to bring in a new number two for Steph Curry to help him do anything in his last years in Golden State. And they have not. It's like, oh, yeah, we could get Lowry, but how about Jimmy Butler? You know, like, it's sad. I feel for Steph Curry. I feel for Warriors fans, and this is how Steph's loyalty is rewarded to the franchise and to the team. This is a dude who probably should demand a trade, but I don't think he's going to. And it's just, it really makes you wonder, what is their plan? Are they content with just being a play-in team?
Right.
Or I don't know.
And also bringing back Draymond Green on a $27 million deal.
Well, that one is like, that was his price. He was on that deal coming into the season.
Right. He turned down that deal.
He opted out so they can try and bring LeBron James in.
Right. That didn't happen, and so he re-signs
And then
1 year for $27
he
million.
re-signed. So that it's not like Golden State handed him that deal.
It
He
feels
was already on that
It feels
deal.
so icky.
It does.
It feels so icky.
Thinking of
Draymond
Draymond Green
Green
as
is not a $27 million player anymore.
Right.
And he hasn't been for a while. And now you're bringing him back for on a $27 million deal after Rich Paul, Clutch Sports CEO, was like, hey, you're going to decline this so we can bring in LeBron. And then that doesn't happen, and so he comes back for $27 million.
Well, and honestly, what
It
Golden
feels icky.
State should do, like if they're not serious about adding to this team and investing in Steph Curry, then the other move is trading Steph and improving your future. Right now, they're doing neither of those things. They're
Yes.
riding these final few years of Steph's career along with Draymond Green, the backpack, right?
Yeah.
And
And they're just kind of there. I don't
they're
think,
just there.
Yeah, I don't think Golden State's going to contend for anything.
They're barely a play-in team in the West, but then they don't have any assets for the future,
Right.
It's one thing if you're going to do what the Jazz did and not compete for a few years, but stockpile all these assets and make your future better. The Warriors are doing neither of those things. They're just kind of stagnant.
And I think that's worse than tanking. I
Of
think
course.
that's worse than, being obviously being at the top, right?
Right.
You're just in the middle. You're doing.
That's
you're,
the worst
you're
place
not-
to be.
You're not doing anything. And we've heard that conversation before, right? It's more detrimental for NBA teams to be in the middle, and to be stagnant in the middle than to be tanking. Because if you're at least tanking under the old provisions, you at least had a chance at the lottery, right? You at least had a chance at the number 1 overall pick. Yeah, the Golden State Warriors, to me, they're just there. And it's unfortunate
there.
to see Steph Curry's final years, what we presume is, right, his final years. It kind of just feels like Golden State are just kind of wasting him.
38 years old.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
Remind me, is Jimmy's still out, right? I don't think he's going to be ready for the start of the season.
I would be surprised if he's there to start the season. I think he tore his ACL in November or December.
Yeah.
So he will probably return at some point this year. I don't think he'll be ready at the very beginning.
But even then, an aging Jimmy Butler,
Right.
Who's
Coming off of a torn ACL.
Right, coming off of an ACL, what is that really going to bring you? So, to me, Golden State is literally just a team that's there right now.
And who knows, maybe with the new lottery changes, being in the middle is beneficial. Like if,
That's true.
The-
That's something you have to consider, right?
being on the very outside of the play-in tournament is where
Right.
a lot of teams do want to be, hypothetically. So we'll see. This is the first year of this kind of happening. Maybe Golden State thinks that they can have a chance of landing a good lottery pick while holding on to Steph. And then, I don't know, that doesn't seem like a good plan to me. But from sitting here in this chair, it looks like that's what they're trying to do because they haven't done anything else.
Exactly. And to taking into the new lottery changes and taking all that into consideration, we'll see what that actually looks like, right, for this season. For a team like Golden State, maybe that does end up being beneficial because obviously now you have better odds if you're not in the quote-unquote relegation zone. So we'll see.
Osteomath chiming in on X. I can think of 62 million things that the Golden State Warriors are doing for Steph Curry. Fair point.
That is true.
Fair point.
Fair shout, Osteomath.
A winner. And you tell me if you agree with this, okay? I couldn't decide where to put this team, but I put them in the winners.
Okay.
I am going to say the Los Angeles Lakers are a winner of the NBA offseason. They lose LeBron James, but looking at what he did to LA, especially over his last few years there and trying to play lay GM, I honestly think the Lakers getting off of LeBron James was a good thing. I think it was too awkward with Luka and LeBron there. That team cannot belong to both of them. So they made the choice to hand the franchise to Luka.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head a couple weeks ago when you said as soon as this Luka Doncic move is made where he goes to the Lakers, where he gets traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, it seemed like it was kind of the end for LeBron.
That's the kiss of
and
death
they were
for LeBron,
already
yeah.
and they were already kind of moving forward. And then they made that clear this offseason. So I think moving on from LeBron will ultimately end up being a good thing for the Lakers. I think that so they did a lot to change this roster. Like, this is a completely revamped new roster for the LA Lakers. Obviously, Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves running the show. You bring in Walker Kessler. Did you overpay for Walker Kessler? Maybe a little bit, but that is now your presumed big three. How that ultimately ends up looking and how that ultimately ends up going, we'll see. But you also bring in Quentin Grimes, Jake LaRavia, Colin Sexton. They made a bunch of moves in free agency. They brought in a whole bunch of players. This is a completely revamped, brand new roster for the Los Angeles Lakers. We'll see how it ends up working. I think when you have Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic leading this team alongside and having, an anchor like Walker Kessler, there's if you're a Los Angeles Lakers fan, I think that there is plenty of room for excitement with your new presumed big three.
We know how risky the Walker trade is, especially here in Salt Lake, because, Jazz fans, I think for the most part, recognize that the Lakers overpaid for Walker as far as not just the money that they gave him, but the draft pick compensation they had to send to the Utah Jazz in order to acquire him. It was a great trade for the Jazz. It's no wonder why they did it. But that risk feels a lot lower looking at the rest of the West and the fact that nobody else in the West really did anything this year.
Right.
So that kind of makes it less risky for the Lakers. And who knows, what other teams are going to do in the future to improve. But you look at, the Spurs added like Tobias Harris. Does that really, I don't think that really moves the needle for them. I think that solidifies their bench, but it's not like the Spurs got a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
The Thunder are at the point where they're having to salary dump players, right? They had to say goodbye to Lou Dort, one of their key role players.
Right.
Nobody else in the West really did anything to kind of take the next jump outside of the Lakers.
No.
So that makes, the risky move for Walker Kessler, that makes that a lot more palatable when you look at the fact that, Houston didn't get better. Phoenix didn't get better. The Trailblazers didn't get better. All of these teams that, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seed in the West, they didn't really do anything.
No, they didn't. And which obviously is a big boost for the LA Lakers and why they are even more so winners of this offseason.
They're kind of winners on the fact that
no one else did. No one else did.
Everybody else sat on their hands.
Everybody else sat on their hands, but they did do a lot to reconstruct this roster. Right, it's post LeBron James. You have a bunch of money you could play with this offseason. And they did. They brought in, like I said, a bunch of free agents. They made the move for Walker Kessler, which it feels like the Lakers have been trying to get Walker Kessler for the last 2 years.
Yeah. Longer than that.
Right. And so, and it always seemed like Luka Doncic, and the conversation was that Luka Doncic was missing that center, that center who can come in, and elevate Luka Doncic, right? And now it seems like he has that. We'll see how it actually ends up working out.
Well, and you bring up, it feels like they finally have depth. And that's something that, again, because of Le GM, they never really had because LeBron was always bringing in his buddies. Like, you think of Russell Westbrook and Rajon Rondo and...
Oh, my gosh, I forgot about that.
Dennis Schroeder. Like, all these guys that LeBron brought in, and it's like, what are you doing? But, the addition of Quentin Grimes, Matisse Thybulle, like a defensive-minded wing... That's who you want playing next to Luka and Austin Reeves, right? Colin Sexton, he is a clutch guy, obviously, but he's a vet that's been around the league, and I think he's fine as your 6th or 7th man, right? Like, he's not going to be a starting guard on a playoff team, but I think he can be a Jordan Clarkson-type player for the Lakers, right? I think those are good depth additions. I don't know. I really am interested to see what the Lakers do under Luka versus what they did under LeBron, because ultimately I think it did end up being a disaster over the last few years with LeBron James.
Yeah.
Maybe it works under Luka, maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
We'll see. Another winner, or I guess another loser that I have, to your point, the Western Conference. Just as a whole. And I say
it's fair.
And I say that, and the winner obviously will be the Eastern Conference, because I feel like the conversation for the last 2, 3, maybe 3 years has been how much weaker the Eastern Conference looks compared to the West.
Yeah.
Now it feels like we're in the middle of a power shift. of East versus West. It feels like the Eastern teams did a lot to get better, whereas the Western Conference, like to your point, just kind of sat on their hands. Didn't really do much to improve.
Or you look at some of the moves that were made, like the Timberwolves trading for LaMelo Ball.
Right.
You can't sit here and tell me that makes them a better team.
I don't think so.
No.
And it has a lot to do with his off-court stuff.
Of course.
It doesn't even have to do anything with the basketball side of things, which is
even
unfortunate.
on the basketball side of things, he's not a good player.
Right, but more so, I mean, we're not even a year removed off of his whole car crash debacle.
Well, and he's being sued by Cam Newton's dad. Did you see that?
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. No.
Well, apparently Cam Newton's dad owned the apartment complex that he stayed in, and apparently he wasn't paying rent. So he owes over $100,000 to Cam Newton's dad.
That's tough.
Crazy coincidence there. Other quick losers, Boston Celtics.
Yes.
They exchanged Jaylen Brown for Paul George, the worst contract in the league. He has 2 years remaining, and he's way past being any sort of contributor on the floor. And on top of that, they were unwilling to trade bench players for Giannis. I think that was a huge miss.
Yes.
So there's that. Detroit Pistons. That's a team that was the 1 seed in the East. And they desperately needed to add a playmaker to help Cade Cunningham kind of take some things off of his plate. Unable to do that. It's still going to be everything rests on Cade's shoulders, and that's not what you want. On top of that, the Jalen Duren negotiations have gotten messy. Still have no idea what that's looking like.
Well, and it's gone quiet.
It's gone quiet.
It's gone real quiet with Jalen Duren. The last thing I saw on the whole Jalen Duren situation was, of course, Chris Haynes putting out there that he was very, very frustrated with the situation and upset, well, of course, with the contract negotiations happening in Detroit. And since then, it's been silent.
Like eerie silent.
Right.
We were talking about that last week. It's like, hey, did I miss something? Has anything come?
Did he sign?
Anything come out? And it's like, no, it's just
nothing's
no
happening.
movement at all.
Nothing's happening. Yeah, I don't know if I don't think the Clippers or not the Clippers, the Pistons haven't done much to improve either. And then of course, if you add on top of that, still yet to be seen, but if you do lose Jalen Duren this offseason, the center market has dried up real quick.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Jalen Duren moves on, what the backup plan at the center position is going to be for the Pistons.
Last one, Miami Heat. You put them as winners or losers? So to explain, obviously
question.
they add Giannis, but they had to give up a lot of their young role players.
Yeah.
Jaime Jaquez, Khalil Ware, Tyler Hero.
Is there? Can you put them as a winner and a loser?
Sure.
Because I think obviously it's great to land Giannis Antetokounmpo, and it's great to have the former MVP and somebody who can sell tickets, right, for in Giannis Antetokounmpo. But I think the issue is just the bigger team around him. You missed out on LeBron James. I think Norman Powell's gone, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously you mentioned all the players that you lost in the trade. I don't know. Similarly to the Philadelphia 76ers, their depth is looking not so great.
Well, and Giannis is the type of player that on his own can make you a contender. We're talking about a top 5 player in the league.
Yeah.
He's that good. And Bam is no joke either. I mean, the Olympic gold medalist. I think the 83 points was obviously a fluke, right? But he's still a very, very good all-star caliber player. And those two enough, I mean, they're a playoff team. No doubt about it. Health pending. But yeah, once you get to the playoffs, how much noise can you make? Andrew Wiggins, what do you do for me? Davion Mitchell.
Yeah.
What do you do for me? So we'll see. I think they're going to be a very interesting team because they are very flawed. But again, you've got one of the best players in the world, and he's motivated, and he's happy, which we haven't seen in a few years. So maybe the Miami Heat do return to relevance.
I'm curious to see how it all works out. Maybe, they get back in the... Did they miss the playoffs last season? I can't even remember. That's how
yes.
irrelevant. That's how irrelevant the Miami Heat was last season. Maybe they get back into the playoffs, and maybe this is a boost for them. And like I said, even having just Giannis continue to now be in a big market like Miami, that it just all the shifting powers of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. Clear a lot of teams in the East got better. We'll see if the pendulum truly swings.
Yeah.
The Knicks just won the finals, right?
Yes.
So
obviously the champions in the Eastern Conference.
There are some really good teams in the East.
Yeah.
But it has been a long time since the Eastern Conference was relevant at all. It feels like the conversation the last 5 or 6 years has always been, whoever, like the Western Conference Finals is the true NBA Finals.
Yeah.
And the East is just there.
Yep.
But maybe that's changing.
It certainly feels that way, and a lot of it, of course, has to do with LeBron now moving to the East Coast, and a bunch of players moving over to the East Coast. Curious to see how Atlanta looks. Curious to see how the Wizards look.
Boo. Curious
to see how some of these teams who necessarily didn't pick up big free agents.
Yeah.
But obviously had. You have the addition of AJ DeMonsa to a Trae Young and Anthony Davis Wizards team, and then you have the Hawks, who made a lot of good trades and have a really balanced team when it comes to salary cap, right? It's not all tied up to 3 players. They've got a balanced team. They got depth. I'm curious to see how the Hawks look this season.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. Alex, we had some incredibly big news happen last night, and it wasn't just your typical Friday news dump. All of this stuff happened by the time I got home from work. We're talking post 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Class of 2022, all of those players are eligible for a 5th year of sports. And looks like the Protect College Sports Act has some momentum. We're going to talk about both of those next and what they mean for the schools here locally. Stick with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles. Thanks for tuning in. We've always got crazy news. And Alex, it is kind of like the deadest part of the sports calendar.
Yes.
NBA Summer League is wrapped. It's over. We are anticipating the start of the regular season. College football camp starts next week, but it hasn't started yet. So the last few weeks have been super dry. But yesterday, we get a double news dump.
Crazy news dump.
2
Chaotic
big stories that are going to have huge implications, not just, in college sports in general, but, of course, for BYU and Utah State.
Yeah.
But let's start with this. Yesterday, a federal court granted an injunction for the entire high school class of 2022. Giving every single one of those student athletes a 5th year of NCAA eligibility. Charlotte Sweeney in Denver is the judge that ruled this thing. This is crazy. And essentially this is because of the new 5 years.
Yes, 5 for 5.
5 for 5 rule.
The 5 for 5 rule.
So these students that were the class of 2022 essentially felt like they missed out on that. Mm-hmm. They want their 5th year. And this judge has stepped in and granted it to them. This may be a conversation for a bigger day. I don't like, and we saw this with the Sorsby thing, I don't like that a random judge can just step in and grant an injunction that completely changes all of college sports.
Well, I mean, it just keeps happening.
But it keeps happening.
It keeps happening over and over and over again, which is, I feel like, part of the reason why we now have what we'll talk about here in a second, which is the big federal bill put forth by Cruz, Cantwell, and Schmidt to try to stop stuff like this from happening, where it just keeps happening over and over. Again. But yes, this all just comes from the 5 for 5 rule. The class of 2022 felt slighted because they weren't going to be grandfathered into the 5 for 5 eligibility, and they've been fighting all summer to try to be grandfathered into this now because of this judge in Colorado, Charlotte Sweeney. It is for the class of 22 athletes, they are now deemed eligible for this next season, which former Utah State Aggie MJ Collins transferred to Cincinnati, followed Calhoun. Despite not having eligibility because of this, now it seems like he will have that eligibility.
That's a swear word on this show, MJ Collins.
And then immediately too, following the ruling, Donovan Dent, UCLA, former, was it New Mexico? Donovan Dent also jumps into the transfer portal. Because this now also opens a transfer portal period
for all of these athletes.
2022
This is going
athletes.
to be...
It's a mess. It's going to be a messy week.
But locally, I mean, there are a couple fans that are really excited about some names. Jackson Kohler, American Fork native, former Michigan State big man. He just spent the summer league with the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
There have been rumblings connecting his name to the BYU Cougars, kind of anticipating this injunction. And now that it has happened, that is a name to watch out for BYU. I know they just added the dude from, what was it, Ukraine? Or Poland? Poland.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
But Kohler would be a huge get for BYU. Kibakeda, also former Coug. He spent the summer league with, I'm spacing it.
Oh, I can't remember.
Somewhere in the East.
But now he would have eligibility.
But he would have eligibility to return if he wanted, or same thing, he can enter the transfer portal. For the Utah side, basketball... I don't know what's going to happen there. But Lander Barton on the football side.
Yeah.
Lander Barton's a name that he was spending this summer with the freaking Chargers. But he could come back and play for Morgan Scalley. Or maybe he's going to go to Michigan and play with Witt.
You know who had the best reaction to all this?
Who's that?
Texas Tech fans.
Oh, gosh.
Because now on top of getting Topin back, right, who ended up getting injured last season but was on course to be probably the best player in the Big 12.
Yes.
He's returning, obviously.
Yeah,
and then
Toppin is awesome.
Now you have two seniors who were major contributors on that team who are now all of a sudden eligible again. So Texas Tech fans were very, very excited.
Yeah.
And obviously now they feel like they can win the Big 12 over Arizona, over whoever else is in contention.
David Bailey, what was it, second or third overall pick?
Yeah.
Technically
would have. Yeah, technically would have eligibility.
I think he would be crazy to leave the Jets.
Who knows? Maybe he gets cut. Maybe comes back. I don't know.
Who knows?
No, it wouldn't happen.
So it's gonna be a messy next few weeks as this tries to get navigated. But an entire class of student athletes in football and basketball and every sport scrambling to find new homes.
And then you have roster spots you need to think about, because obviously there's roster limitations.
Do these players fit into the? I thought I saw somewhere that players might be exempt from the 105-man roster.
Ooh, I have not seen that.
But I don't know if that's true. I might have been duped.
Well, and then you have now to the other news that was dropped yesterday, which would be a major shift in college football.
And that's the
Protect College Sports Act.
The SEC and the Big Ten both voted in favor of this. And literally, I can't even say the 11th hour. This was the 11th hour and 59th minute.
Yes.
It seemed like this bill was dead in the water. They said they had to have a ruling by Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
And nothing happened Wednesday morning. So everybody was like, okay, well.
Well, the deadline got pushed, and they're like, all right, we'll give it.
Get pushed. Okay.
They're like, okay, we'll give it an extra day. And then it got pushed again, and they're like, we'll give it an extra day.
And they finally
did it.
They finally both approved.
So it's funny because I think it was Thursday we had Stuart Mendel from The Athletic and John Wilner jump on with Scotty G and the coach, and Scotty asked both of those guys, both of them, covering Big Ten Media Days, and so they were there. They were hearing the rumblings. They were they had their finger on the pulse. And Scotty essentially asked them if you were a doctor and you had to diagnose the Protect College Sports Act, how alive is it really? Ooh. And they both said it's on life support.
It's flatlining.
It's on life support. But as you know, when it comes to stuff like this, it's not over until it's in the ground, buried in the ground. The bill was never buried. There was still possibilities. Both of them, essentially saying it was on life support, and then all of a sudden, in a surprising, stunning move, according to all the insiders, a complete 180. to where the feelings were Friday morning, and they decide to go forth and say yes to the Protect College Sports Act.
No, that's why it felt like such a big shock, because for all intents and purposes, this bill was dead.
Yes.
It looked like this was not going to pass,
Yes.
and it was going to have to be reworked and reintroduced maybe next year or whenever. Now it gets essentially the Senate has to vote on it.
Now that the conferences, now that the presidents, now that all the decision makers in college football have agreed to it,
the Senate has to vote on it.
Yes, Cruz, Cantwell, and Schmidt can now put forth this bill onto a vote, and they're hoping to have that done by Monday.
But the true deadline is next Friday.
Yes.
Because Congress goes on a summer recess next Friday, a week from yesterday. So that's the true deadline. So we will see. I would be surprised if this is past Monday.
Yeah.
Because things never go that swimmingly when it comes to the government. Again, I truly think there's going to be another last second decision. I think it's going to be Friday. I don't know if the recess is in the morning or the afternoon, I guess. It's literally going to come down in the last second again. And it's either going to pass or not pass right before they go to recess.
The biggest thing and the main things that you need to know as a college football fan is the fact that the SEC and the Big Ten did not want to say yes to this bill because of the rev sharing caps. All the money was going to be pooled. Everybody was going to get 45, I think the number was. And they didn't want that. They felt like they wanted more. More than the Big Ten, or more than the Big 12, more than the ACC, right? Because the SEC and the Big Ten are better. They wanted more. They now have a hard cap, though, that allows everybody to spend the same amount, which is going to be, this upcoming season, it's 21 from the original rev share deal. Now it's going to be bumped up to $45 million across all the schools.
So I think the 45 is split between.
It is split.
It's the $21.3 million cap.
Yes.
And then on top of that, there's a $27.5 million that can go towards retaining players.
And that's the important part.
Versus that money can't be used to add new players. That's retaining players currently on the roster.
You now have separate money for recruiting and player retention, which is massive for Big 10 or Big 12 schools, massive for ACC schools, because you can come in, right? The SEC and the Big 10 we're picking the best players out of all these rosters, taking them to the bigger conferences, and it felt like schools who, the Baylors, the whomever didn't have the money to compete and try to have some player retention. Now that's more of a possibility, which is great.
It's great in theory, but you still have to have that money to be able to spend it.
Right.
Not every team in the Big 12 is going to have 40 whatever million dollars. I bet only Texas Tech and maybe BYU. I honestly don't even know if BYU is going to be comfortable spending that sort of money.
Well, and that's another thing too. There is a soft cap to all this, right? There's a minimum.
Okay.
So you at least have to be at this minimum, which I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to look through some of these articles. There is a minimum for it, which teams have to meet the minimum, which I think it was at about 40.
40?
40 million. Which is another reason why the SEC and the Big Ten didn't want to say yes.
Well, they did.
And they ultimately did.
So, I don't know. To be honest with you, the whole salary cap thing is fake. It's not a real cap.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is like Stuart Mandel brought this up. Now that there is going to be somewhat of a salary cap, and the salary cap has obviously gone up, and he was talking about teams who are either at or very close to $50 million rosters. What's going to happen to the teams who are at $50 million? Who's overseeing all this, and who's going to come in and say, hey, you're over the cap. What is the punishment going to be? And there's no clarity. No clarity on punishment. No clarity on the teams who are already at $50 million rosters. What are they going to do to get under that now cap that has teeth?
But so the reason I say it's fake is because it was never a cap. That was a misunderstanding that people thought when last summer it was announced that schools could spend 20 point whatever million. Everybody assumed that was the max that schools could spend. And it's kind of true. That's the max that the school itself could contribute to sports. But then you could still add all of your third-party NIL on top of that.
As long as it was cleared by the CSC, which has been an absolute failure.
And that's been a mess anyways.
It's been a failure.
Right. So the cap there was never a cap.
Yeah.
That was only a cap on what the school could contribute. And when people started blowing past that 20 point whatever million number, and everybody was like, what? I thought there was a cap. No, there wasn't. And truthfully, I haven't seen anything that says that this is any different, right? This just raises the bar of what schools can contribute without really putting a true cap. There's never going to be a true cap until you limit what the third party stuff looks like, what all the collective stuff looks like, what all the donor and that stuff looks like.
Yeah.
And that, as you pointed out with the College Sports Commission, huge failure because it's an absurd idea to think that that can be limited in any way, shape, or form. So until that is fixed, you're always going to have schools that can spend double, triple, quadruple what everybody else spends. And as long as you keep raising this floor, I mean, that's how you've seen sports budgets balloon from, 12 million, 15, 20, 30.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about $50, $60 million rosters for football. And that's why.
I am curious to see what happens with the NIL and the third-party stuff that you're talking about, because there is provisions in this bill that mandates transparency for fair market value for any deal, any NIL deal over $600. That was essentially part of what the CSC was supposed to be doing, but obviously that hasn't been happening, whether it's the CSC not approving said deals, whether it's the CSC not getting the deal, whatever the case may be. Now part of this bill mandates transparency, and I know we got to get going, but there's still a lot in this bill that needs to that is going to change college football. And there is, of course, the 5-year eligibility window, which we were just talking about eligibility with the ruling. This also focuses hard on eligibility. You have 5-year eligibility window, which of course kind of coincides with the 5-and-5. You are now barred. If you are professional, if you had any semblance of professional play, you are now barred from returning to college. And that is part of the eligibility thing. And it also gives you a one-time transfer exemption. So you can transfer one time. And that's it.
And all that stuff those are things that people have wanted for a long time.
Yes.
And when I say long time, I mean like 3 years. But still,
which is huge.
Because that's how quickly things have changed in the world of college sports. So definitely, I mean, as this progresses through, Congress and the Senate and gets voted on, we're going to have more and more information. Real quick, Karen for Darren asking if Waylon Lapuaho could come back to BYU because of the class of 2022 thing. Yes. He was a class of 22 graduated BYU last year, ran out of eligibility, but was suddenly last night granted a 5th year. So Waylon Lapuaho, another name to watch for the Cougs. I don't know if he is interested in returning. I haven't heard of anything with him as far as the NFL, so I would think he would want to. But maybe sometimes players just want to be done. Who knows? But Lapuaho was great, so that would be a big boost for the Cougs.
A massive leader on that offensive line.
So we will see. And this is stuff we're going to be updated with. I mean, next week we're going to have a ton more info. And by next Saturday, we should know whether this is official or not.
Yeah. Well,
as far as the Protect College Sports Act.
And then by Monday, maybe, exactly. By Monday, if this gets voted on, if it makes it to the Senate floor and it gets voted on, college football and college sports can look completely different by Monday than it does right now. So, yeah, it's gonna be a crazy week, man. With both of these rulings coming down, with both, we're probably in for a crazy week next week.
I hope so. We need some news. Let's take a break. Next segment, we're going to get into some technical files. We had some big ones this week, some pretty big ones.
Yes.
I actually can't wait to talk about them. So we'll get to this next. Stick with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles. It is time for technical fouls. We spend this time making fun or shedding light on people doing dumb things in sports. And Alex, we've got a big one today. We've got something that could have massive ramifications. for an entire league. Did you see this?
I have seen since the videos. Yes, I have
Okay.
seen the video of Angel Reese and Paige Beckers. Yes.
All right. So we're going to go back to, I don't remember what day this was. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. The WNBA posted a video,
Yeah.
and they have since deleted said video due to backlash. It involves stars Angel Reese and Paige Beckers. Let's just say breaking league policy. Let's play that audio, then we'll react to it.
At All-Star Weekend, you and Angel made a bet with each other on this game. Is that bet still?
This is how the rich stay rich. You gotta save this money. I'm gonna see you next week on Wednesday.
Yeah.
At night?
No, at practice.
Oh, at practice? I mean, I know y'all gonna lose, but if y'all lose, I get to have that. If y'all win, you get 400. I get 400. And if we lose, then you get. No, you owe me 400. Bet I'm staying on it.
So straight up just promoting them betting with each other. And of course the WNBA has, kind of the same policy that we see across all sports now.
Yeah.
You can bet, you can gamble. You just can't bet or gamble on your own league, much less your own team.
Yeah. Did we learn nothing from Brendan Sorsby and the whole situation?
Exactly.
Like, what are we doing?
So they post this video. They realize how terrible of a look it is, and they swiftly deleted it. ESPN did put out an article saying the WNBA is not going to punish Paige Beckers and Angel Reese, which frankly I think that's weak. That's soft. They're betting. I don't care if it's a friendly wager between two people. I don't care if you're not pulling out your DraftKings app and putting money on the Angel Reese is on Atlanta now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get you're not betting that way, but you're still betting on your own team.
Yeah.
And this is a zero tolerance policy sort of thing, meaning you have zero tolerance for anybody that breaks this rule. And frankly, I think this continues to show why their commissioner sucks.
So the WNBA acknowledged on Thursday that their post missed the mark. They wanted it was intended to be lighthearted. It was intended to be, a joke, and ended up being the opposite. Again, because gambling and the Brendan Sorsby situation, you have the Terry Rozier situation, the Chauncey Billups situation. Like, there's so many things happening right now revolving and surrounding people gambling on their sport, people gambling on their teams, people gambling on their games. And that is it's been a big topic for the last
all summer.
Yeah, all summer.
All spring and summer.
And it's again very, very silly for them to post this and try to make light of the situation that across all the sports landscape right now, it's been a big problem. It's been a huge problem.
Yeah. Were you so naive that you did not hear about Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby?
Have you been
the biggest news in sports?
Have you been living under a rock?
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this was some social media person who was like, "Oh, I've got a great idea for a video. This is going to make us go viral." I don't know.
I mean, it did.
For the wrong reasons. Yeah, good one.
Nope. Wow. What's the saying? No bad press, or there's no such thing as bad press.
Sure.
Yeah, you went viral. You got what you wanted.
For those wondering,
for all the wrong reasons.
Angel Reese's team did win.
Oh, there you go.
Atlanta beat Dallas by 1 point. I think it was like 89-88 or something. So technically, Paige Beckers owes Angel Reese $400.
And I think, as of Thursday, the league has said that there will be no punishment, right?
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
You just can't do that. You've got players. You look at Jonte Porter got banned from the NBA. Terry Rozier could go to federal prison.
Yeah.
And I'm not calling for that for these two players because I don't think their crimes are necessarily to that extreme, But I do think there should be some sort of punishment because, again, if you allow, it's a zero tolerance policy. And when you allow these players to do this and break the rule, I get that there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's not actual betting." That's not the point. number one.
The point
and number two, yes, it is. It is actual betting.
The point is zero tolerance should be zero tolerance.
You cannot go and bet on your own team to beat the other team.
Right.
You can't do that. That's what Brendan Sorsby was doing.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Can't do it. And I think it's a bad look that the WNBA posted this video. I think it's a bad look that now they're going back and saying that they won't even punish them for what was clearly betting.
Kathy Engelbert, worst commissioner in sports. Seriously.
Yeah, no, from what I've heard, not the best, not the greatest.
The WNBA right now is in a position where they could. I mean, they are exploding in popularity, but they could be so much more, and they are held back by poor leadership at the top. And I'm not just talking about the commissioner, but I'm talking about like everybody involved with this. It's things like this that are holding back the WNBA from being taken serious.
Yeah, I also think, I also find it wild and curious that I was enthralled, I was captivated by the Caitlin Clark story coming out of college when she was at Iowa, the Paige Becker story when she was at UConn. A lot of these players through their college careers, I've watched, I followed, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the college basketball scene. Haven't been able to keep up with the WNBA. I feel like it's poor marketing.
It's terrible marketing.
Poor marketing.
And
you have some players who right now are considered the best at basketball, right, on the women's scene, and it's I don't know. I can't find the interest to watch Caitlin Clark at the WNBA versus where I was when she was at Iowa, right?
Well, and a lot of it too is jealousy from the older players. I mean, you've got you look at the last 3 or 4 drafts and the huge names and stars that have come into the WNBA,
Mm-hmm.
and the players that have been in this league before then that weren't getting any attention, but now they are because of these young kids coming in. They're jealous of it.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different problem. But there are a lot of things wrong with the WNBA right now. And they are still growing and gaining more audience each and every year. They just signed a new CBA, and it's honestly great for the players. So they are growing despite all of that. But again, you mentioned the marketing, you mentioned the leadership. It's all bad.
It feels like the WNBA have failed to capitalize on the Caitlin Clark mania, the popularity of Paige Beckers, the popularity of a lot of these really great players coming out of college, and they have failed to capitalize on the opportunity of having great generational players of the women's game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ban Angel Reese.
Yeah.
Start there.
Yep.
For betting.
For betting,
Just so we're
yes,
clear.
Absolutely.
And that's a joke because I got to clarify that because sometimes people don't. Whatever. Alex, training camp starts next week for BYU and Utah. We are going to jump into that next, little bit of a training camp preview. Stick with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Now at McDonald's, get a $5 McChicken meal deal or a $6 McDouble meal deal. They come with small fries, a soft drink, and 4-piece McNuggets. We're going to need a bigger tray. Get more value with your meal deal with McValue.
Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery.
Meet Keith, loving dad, board game champ, bus driving pro.
I drive 65,000 miles in my bus each year. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. Like how there are some things I simply can't see. On my route the other day, a car tried to sneak past me and ends up right in my blind spot. I turned slowly, so accident avoided. But no car should be in the blind spot for a 40,000-pound bus. It's our roads. It's our safety.
Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles, thank you for tuning in, making us a part of your Saturday morning. Alex, fall camp is here. Finally.
We made it.
Utah starts Monday.
Yes.
BYU starts, we don't really know.
Believe Wednesday.
Wednesday's the rumor.
Believe Wednesday.
Not quite official.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's Wednesday.
But here we go, man. Here we go.
BYU and Utah get underway next week. And this is going to be a really, really fun football season for both of the teams. I think there's a ton of storylines to keep an eye on. Obviously, I think Utah is the more interesting camp team as far as, they're BYU. You know what you have, right? You're returning your head coach. You're returning the quarterback.
Yes.
When you're doing that, most years you know what you're going to have. Utah, you've got a completely new head coach at the helm. And I know Scalley's been there as the defensive coordinator, coach in waiting, yada, yada, yada. But nevertheless, losing Kyle Whittingham after 21 years, you're going to look a lot different.
Yeah.
I don't care how much of a Utah man Morgan Scalley is. He's going to make changes. And that could be a good thing, right? So I think that's why I say that Utah is the more interesting camp team. That doesn't mean I'm not saying Utah is going to be better than BYU. I'm not coming out and making that statement right now. I'm just saying as far as the August storylines, I think Utah's a little more interesting. And they start Monday. So let's start with them. A little bit of a camp preview. Our guy Steve Bartle obviously put out an article, KSLSports.com. You can go read that. But you look at Utah and what they're returning and what they have. Kevin McGivern is the OC, bringing him in. There's a lot of excitement there, but you got to start with Devin Dampier and Bird Ficklin. Both of your quarterbacks are coming back, and that's going to be electric.
Yes, and obviously you presume it's going to be a healthy Devin Dampier, right? The major storyline following him last season and throughout the course of the year was the fact that he was playing through injury. He's playing a little bit banged up. Now there was that surgery he had off season. Now you presume, right, it is going to be a fully 100% Devin Dampier heading into fall camp and heading into the season. And I'm curious to see how that looks. If that's what Devin Dampier looked, banged up, whether it was 70%, 80%, whatever he was at.
Yeah.
What does a fully healthy 100% Devin Dampier look like? And the big question, right, was the ball's downfield. A little bit of the situations where we're trying to go deep. Some of the throws that he struggled with, can that now be added to his game and make him one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12?
And he definitely is one of the more experienced quarterbacks in the Big 12.
Yes.
I mean, you look at the talent. Like last year, there was a ton of talent in the conference as far as quarterbacks goes. You look at Josh Hoover, Sawyer Robinson, Brendan Sorsby. Mm-hmm. A lot of those guys have moved on, transferred out of the conference to bigger and better programs, or are not eligible to play because they broke some rules.
Yeah.
But you look at this year, and it's like Noah Fafita obviously has been at Arizona for what feels like forever.
Yes.
But it's like Devin Dampier is really experienced now. And honestly, Bear Bachmeier, we'll talk about BYU in a second, but that's a big get for the Cougs as well. So Dampier coming in, year 3 for him as a starter. His first year without Jason Beck as his offensive coordinator, and it's his second year at Utah. Again, you mentioned the health. That is the thing that seemingly held him back last year. There was an ankle injury. There was a sports hernia. So we'll see if he, what McGivern does to kind of take advantage of that. But I'm honestly interested to see how they utilize Bird Ficklin, because that's a dude that you can't just leave on the bench. That's a dude that Michigan tried to bring in, and Utah felt like he was a priority to hold on to. It's not very often that you see a team make it a priority to hold on to their backup quarterback when they for sure have Devin Dampier coming back this year, and he could even have another year of eligibility after that.
Yeah.
So the fact that they made it a priority to keep Bird Ficklin, keep him from following Kyle Whittingham to Michigan,
right,
that tells me that they have some big plans for Bird Ficklin.
And I wonder how much, his role, what ultimately his role will be. We saw him come in we saw him start that Colorado game, and I thought he looked tremendous. Anytime he would come in and, line up at quarterback, it felt like he was always destined to make a big run. And, you have to take advantage of that, especially after this guy. You had Ron McBride, the former Utah head coach, sitting in this very chair and talking about how, you had to fight off Whittingham in Michigan to try to take him. So to put that faith in Bird Ficklin, to put that much emphasis on making sure that you can hold on to Bird Ficklin, I wonder how his role evolves into this next season. Absolutely. and how much they utilize him, whether he lines up on the outside, whether he lines up at quarterback. We saw the interchange where Devin Dampier was lining up and at quarterback, and Bert Ficklin was out at wide receiver.
Yeah.
And then vice versa. You'd see Devin Dampier lined up outside. And so I wonder if those trick packages continue to be a big part of this Utah offense.
Oh, they have to, because that's the interesting part about this is they are not bringing back Bert Ficklin to have a quarterback battle.
No.
There's no QB battle at Utah. Devin Dampier is the quarterback, the starting quarterback.
Absolutely.
But Bert Ficklin is such a dynamic offensive weapon that you have to bring him back, because you mentioned that Colorado game. What do you have? 3 touchdown runs of 50+ yards?
Yes.
Like that's special. That's something that you don't just stumble upon every day. And when you find that in college football, you need to hold on to that, because he was a big part of the reason why Utah's offense was so explosive last year. So I can't wait to see what that two-headed monster looks like. Defensively, I think a big key is going to be the defensive line, and then just gaining more depth and experience. I know John Henry Daly is a huge loss, but they're bringing back a lot of these guys that were true freshmen last year.
Yep. A lot of the young guys, and a lot of young guys through the portal as well for that defensive line.
And you hope that shores it up.
Yeah.
Because that obviously run defense fell apart the last 2 games of the year. They got shredded by Kansas State. That was such a terrible game.
It was.
And you look at why,
it was, but it ended up being fun.
It was a fun game, and Utah won.
Yeah, the comeback and the energy at Rice Eccles, that ended up being a super fun game. But I think in a more perfect world, you would like that to not be as close as it was.
You're not giving up.
And you're not giving up
300 yards on the ground.
What felt like 500 yards before halftime.
It really did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, the Utah Utes, when Morgan Scalley first took over for Kyle Whittingham, I was kind of questioning, like, we'll see how it goes. I honestly wasn't super confident just because there was such a big unknown. Mm-hmm. But after the dust settled, and after they kind of finalized their roster and the rest of the staff around Scalley, and again, bringing in Kevin McGivern, I think that's a huge get. And Pagan from Utah State, they're excited about him. And now you kind of feel like this is the new era of Utah football, obviously. So we'll see if Morgan Scalley can make a splash in year 1. But I am curious to see just how his first camp goes.
I think one of the biggest questions for me coming out of fall camp is going to be the defensive line, of course, right? It is still a young and inexperienced defensive line, and they need that to be better than it was at the end of the season last season. And then we've heard it a couple times now through the course of the offseason, Morgan Scalley talking about how this is the best wide receiver unit he's had since his time at Utah. And can they live up to that hype? The wide receiver has been a question mark for Utah the last couple of years. It's been a position that everyone's always talking about, we talked about it last season, right? They didn't necessarily feel like they have a deep threat, a deep guy. Do they have that this season? We'll find out.
Let's take a break. I'm gonna call an audible. We're gonna break now and talk BYU on the other side. I don't want to just give 3 or 4 minutes to BYU.
Right.
So we will give BYU their due time.
Absolutely. They both deserve their due time.
So let's take a break. We'll hit the Cougs on the other side. Stick with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome into the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles. Just spent the last segment doing kind of a training camp preview for the Utah Utes. Camp gets underway for Utah on Monday. Meanwhile, BYU, rumor has it. See what I did there?
Nice.
Good job.
Nice.
Rumor has it, BYU starting camp on Wednesday.
Yeah.
We haven't heard anything official.
Still waiting for the email to come down.
Still waiting for the email. But it sounds like the Cougs are starting things up on Wednesday. We mentioned some questions that Utah has to answer, right? How are they going to look under Morgan Scalley instead of Kyle Whittingham? How is Kevin McGivern going to change the offense? How is Devin Dampier going to look when he's healthy? How is Bert Ficklin going to factor into the offense? BYU still has questions, but there's a lot less, really. All they lost was Jay Hill. I mean, they lost some players too, right? They lost some talent.
Let's not disrespect Jack Kelly here.
that defensive unit is going to be a major question.
Yes.
Like, they lose Jack Kelly, but they add Kedu Luave.
Right.
So the big thing is, can Kelly Poppinga take over that defense from Jay Hill? Can that transition go smoothly? Because if that's a yes, Jack Kelly's a superstar, but frankly, I mean, you've got studs all over the defense. I think it matters more who's calling it.
Yeah. It feels like no matter what, they're in a good spot because of the talent that they do return, plus the talent that you've added to that defense, right? You mentioned Uluave, and everybody's really, really high on this guy. And they have talent just all around that defense. Really, really stacked, experienced defensive line, really experienced linebacker room, really great safety room. Faletau Satuala, right, had that injury. He's expected to be A-okay, though, by the time the season starts up. Doesn't sound like it was as serious, but it sounds like he will be ready to roll. And, I mean, just having him in that safety room makes it awesome. You have talent all over this defense. Similarly, though, to what we're talking to Morgan Scalley, Kelly Poppinga is going to want to put his stamp on that defense, right? So I'm curious to see what changes, how different it looks like with Kelly Poppinga leading the helm. However, I don't expect it to deviate too much because you still have Kalani Sitake, who's a big, brain as a part of that defensive scheme for BYU. You still have Gary Anderson, who's a big brain and a part of that scheme, right, for BYU, and as well as Kelly Poppinga learning this quote Whittingham defense.
Yeah,
that everybody in this state has now learned. So,
well, and I think that's a good way to put it, is what can K-pop do to put his own stamp on it? I mean, that is a really good way to put it, because you look at what Jay Hill did as far as bringing his guys up from Weber State, and Jack Kelly was one of those guys, and you look at how much that defense was centered around Jack Kelly last year. I mean, we heard it as much from, I believe it was one of their defensive linemen was talking about it at media days, I think, that's the reason why we didn't see any defensive linemen getting sacks, is because their job was to hold up.
Yes, it was Tanavasa.
It was Tanavasa. Okay, I couldn't remember if it was him or a defensive end, but he was saying basically the defensive line's job was to hold up the blockers so Jack Kelly could get a free run at the quarterback. Hence, Jack Kelly leading the team in sacks last year because he was a superstar. He was a really, really good player. You're not going to have that every year. So what does K-pop do next year to get Tanavasa and Kirkland and some of these other defensive linemen involved, and then let the linebackers do their thing, elsewhere? So I am really interested to see what the defense looks like, because Penn State doesn't come calling Kalani Sitake if that BYU defense does not make the jump that it did 2 years ago.
Yes, and to go with that, right? To go hand in hand with that, it's about the evolution of that BYU defense that has led to the conversation that we're having about BYU today, and the fact that they are contenders for the Big 12. They are contenders to potentially make it to the college football playoff. They are contenders in every which way of the word, and it all comes with the evolution of the defense and the stamp that Jay Hill, Gary Anderson, and Kalani Sitake have been able to the transformation that they've been able to make with that BYU defense. It all coincides. It's all intertwined together, and a big person who was a part of that, watching that all develop, watching that all grow, watching that all come together, is the new defensive coordinator, Kelly Poppinga. So again, he's been there, he's learned, he's taken that all in through as this BYU defense has developed. Now it's time for him to put his own touch, his own stamp onto it, and I'm excited to see how it looks, man. Having the riches of talent that you have on defense, I'm sure makes his life a lot easier.
Yeah, you bring up Satuala, man. He definitely has the chance to be one of the best defensive players in the entire conference next year.
Oh, no doubt.
He's a star.
Absolutely.
He's gonna be a monster for BYU and at the next level as well.
And I feel like not enough people are talking about Glasker either.
Glasker's great.
I don't think Glasker had anywhere near the season that I think he wanted to last season. And I'm excited to see what the next steps of his development look like too, alongside now Kedu Luave.
Offensively, I mentioned that they bring back Bear Bachmeier and Kalani Sitake, quarterback head coach. As long as you do that, you're going to find yourself in a good spot. It's hard to go backwards when you do that and return that duo.
Yeah.
LJ Martin, Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, stud. The problem is the receiver room, right? You lose Chase Roberts. Parker Kingston is no longer with the team because of other circumstances. And now all of a sudden your receiver, who was it? Retired. Cody Hagan.
Yeah.
Medically retired.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden you're looking at a barren wide receiver room, and it's not like there are a lot of options of, we've seen flashes from this guy. He's probably going to step in and be wide receiver one. Right now, looking at this room, we have no idea what that's going to look like. JoJo Phillips had a ton of hype going into last year. He missed a ton of time due to injury, and when he came back, he was a disappointment. So It's not like you look at JoJo Phillips being kind of the most experienced in this group and pointing to him saying, okay, he's the bona fide leader of this room. He hasn't proven that yet. Now, he's certainly talented. There's no doubt about that. That's why there was so much hype last year. But as it sits right now, this wide receiver room is completely wide open to the point that we could see freshmen come in like Legend Glasgow or the Pula twins come in and make an immediate impact. So we will see.
Oh, man. Everybody keep an eye on Legend Glasgow. Shouts Lehigh High School. Legend Glasgow is incredible. Watched him his sophomore year, his junior year, and his last year, his senior year.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal football player. Phenomenal wide receiver. Speedy. Love that guy. Legend Glasgow. It sounds like people down there are high on Legend. I wouldn't be surprised if he has some sort of role, even as a true freshman, with the wide receiver room being where it is right now for BYU. Keep an eye on Legend Glasgow, man. It sounds like a lot of people, from what Mitch was saying yesterday on Scotty the Coach, man, it sounds like people are high on Legend.
Well, and he might have to make an impact.
Yeah. Also, I mean, you have to look at guys like Tay Nakua, who's the redshirt sophomore. And what steps does he take in his development? You have to look at a player like Tiger Bachmeier, who is now entering his senior season. And of course, big questions have to be asked of the receivers that they brought in, the transfer receiver, right? And Kyler Casper, the Oregon guy. And where does he land in all this?
Again, a bunch of unknowns. So I'd say outside of Jay Hill's departure and what that defense looks like, I mean, that is the biggest question for BYU is, honestly, if they don't compete for a Big 12 championship, I don't think it's going to be because of the defense. I think it's going to be because they can't get anything out of this wide receiver room. Worst case scenario. So that's where,
even
A-Rod's going to have to pull some tricks out of his sleeve and figure something out. Because last year having Chase Roberts and Parker Kingston made a ton of plays too, and Carson Ryan when he was called upon, like those were three dudes that it's a big hole to replace.
If you can even get by with, with average, with decent wide receiver play, you still feel confident in this BYU offense because of the running ability of LJ Martin, because of the running ability of Bear Bachmeier.
Yeah.
And if the passing game, if the throwing game isn't working for Bear, you have a big, massive safety blanket and probably the best running back in the Big 12. That is LJ Martin. Now, dealt with some bumps and bruises last season, right? Still was able to pull off the Offensive Player of the Year. Can he repeat that with what, again, you presume will be a healthier year for LJ Martin?
And we'll see how big of an impact Walker Lyons plays, too.
Everybody's high on that tight end room. It's something that hasn't really been talked about a lot this offseason, I feel like, for BYU, but everybody's really high on the tight end room. Last season, right, Carson Ryan was the leader in that room, and you saw the connection that Bear Bachmeier and Carson Ryan had. Who's going to replace Carson Ryan? Well, you bring in two transfers that I think have all the potential in the world in Walker Lyons and Roger Salepeaga, one coming from USC, one coming from Oregon, and those two guys I think can stand out and have another and have a big breakout season, similar to what you saw Carson Ryan do last season with that connection of and Bear Bachmeier.
It's going to be such a fun season. Ben brought this up the other day, but like we kind of brought it up with Utah. It's so nice to not have a quarterback controversy this summer. Like,
yeah,
we know who the starting quarterbacks for both teams are going into the season, and that's not something we've been able to say for the past several years because of Cam Rising's injury, or Jaron Hall graduates, who takes over after that, or well, I guess they brought in Keaton Slovis after Jaron Hall, but like after that, it was was it going to be Jake Retzloff? Was it going to be Bear Bachmeier last year? It's exhausting kind of going through that cycle every summer. And so this year, it's very nice to sit back and not just look at, but honestly admire the talent that they have. It's such a good feeling to know that both of these teams have a quality starting quarterback going into the season. Like that is, I don't know if BYU and Utah fans kind of appreciate that. Maybe they do. I don't know, but
I feel like
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, I feel like they do. You see the love for Bear Bachmeier all the time on social media. You see the love for Bear Bachmeier after that that post of him, singing at that, what was it, some charity event? I don't know what it was exactly, but
just
people,
the concert.
Yeah, the concert, whatever it was. People absolutely loved it. Great down to earth guy, and then of course you have Devin Dampier, who is a phenomenal interview. Always seems to be. To bring a light into the room, always seems to be one of the happiest dudes in the room. Also, seems like a genuinely great guy. And so you have two really great quarterbacks leading both of these programs here in the state.
Let's take a break, Alex. We're saving some time for this final segment because we got to talk about Whit at Big Ten Media Days. First off, that is another storyline. I mean, we talk about BYU and Utah, and for as important as those are, like, frankly, Whittingham at Michigan is going to be a story. And there are a lot of local fans who don't want it to be, but it is because he was here for so long. And his fingerprints are all over both BYU and Utah. Of course, he brought Jay Hill in, so that impacts BYU directly. Whittingham spoke at Big Ten Media Days the other day, and he made some waves with some of his comments. So I want to talk about Whittingham next. I'm not going to do like a preview for Michigan. I don't care about that. But I do want to talk about Whit a little bit before we wrap the show. So we'll get to that next. Stick with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Wrapping up another week of the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Christian Esparza. Alex Napoles here alongside me, taking you through another week of sports. We touched on a lot today. It was a big week.
Yeah, a lot happened.
Nothing happened.
A lot happened, but
yesterday.
but nothing happened. That's how it works. With the late Friday news dumps. I'm really, really curious to see what happens with the Protect College Sports Act. I am so tired of not being able to talk about the actual football of things.
Yeah.
We're so focused and dialed in on the legislations, the bills, the injunctions, the lawsuits, because it's a mess. Dan Hurley, the head coach of the UConn Huskies, put it out yesterday, and he said college sports is an absolute poop emoji show, and I couldn't agree more.
Well, he's right for once.
And I'm really, really hoping that this new bill is the last one we get to talk about. And it brings finally some sort of stability. Now,
I hate to burst your bubble.
I know. I know.
But that's not quite how this seems to be working.
I know. I hope that, again, this just brings in some sort of stability, some much needed stability to college sports. Not just college football, but college sports in general. That is the hope with this bill.
Yeah.
And people will always find loopholes. People will always find how to, make it past the guardrails. And so, we'll see. But again, as we mentioned it at the top of the show, when we were talking about all this, it after everything's voted for on what everybody presumes and hopes is Monday, the college landscape can look a lot different than it does right now on Saturday at 11:48.
Could be, but there are still a lot of people that have to say yes. And again, I would be shocked if that happens Monday. Maybe it does, and maybe I'm the one with egg on my face, but
Either way, it has to happen before Friday,
Right.
Because that's when they go on recess.
Right.
Yeah.
So that we should know for certain by Friday, essentially by next Saturday show, if the Protect College Sports Act is going to come in and essentially have real teeth.
Yeah.
So we will see.
A lot of things in that bill that are, again, provisions, guardrails to try to make the college landscape better. There's the Lane Kiffin rule, which we didn't even talk about poaching coaches, right? And stealing away coaches. There's the Lane Kiffin rule. There's the antitrust exemptions, which is a lot of lawyer jargon that I don't want to talk about on a sports radio station, but here we are.
Everybody's going to become legal experts within the next week.
Yeah, so there's a lot of provisions and a lot of things on there that again I think can be helpful for college sports and to bring some sort of stability that everybody's wanting for. But one of the bigger things too that I'm excited about is the eligibility and the transfer exemption. Right, you get one free transfer and that's it.
Real quick before we wrap, I wanted to get to some sound from Kyle Whittingham at Big Ten Media Days. He made some waves online talking about the Ohio State rivalry. We'll play this first clip talking about the Ohio State rivalry and his thoughts on that, and then that will set up the second clip.
Well, I'm certainly aware of it. It's it's the biggest rivalry in the country, and in our opinion, it's something that is in the back of my mind every single day. But I am old school, and I believe in taking them one game at a time. And we got 11 games to play before we get to that game, and so we can't obsess over it, at least not just yet. But I can tell you right now, there'd be nothing more fitting and nothing better than if that game came down to who was going to win the Big Ten championship. That would be awesome.
Not going to obsess over it.
It's a very Kyle Whittingham answer.
It is, but
1 week at a time.
It's funny because you look at how aggravating he was to BYU fans. As far as not ever mentioning the school, the team down south, and all that stuff.
Refusing to say Bear Bachmeier.
You know that he thinks about them all the time, for better and for worse, right? So it is funny to continue to put on this face. Oh yeah, I'm not going to think about it the entire season. But it would be cool if the Big Ten championship comes down to that. So
to be fair, it would be absolutely awesome. If
then
that was
it would be cool. It would be exciting.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then he continued to make waves talking about his relationship with Ryan Day, and the word hate is a key word here.
I don't know what that dynamic was. I know that I thought Ryan was a pretty good guy when I met with him, or not met with him, but interacted with him in the Rose Bowl. And based on what, again, Urban has told me about him, and I just think that a rivalry can be intense and emotional without the hatred factor of it. I don't think there's any place for that personally. I think Ryan Day's a good person, and to sit here and say I hate Ryan Day, I'd be making crap up, because that's not true.
And that one caused the controversy and the stir online.
I get where he's coming from, but you know how many Michigan fans hated to hear that? Notice how I use the word hate?
Oh, yeah.
Because they hate Ohio State.
Yeah. Well, not only that, for some reason, he ended up stirring up both fan bases.
Right.
Like, it made both Ohio State and Michigan fans upset.
Ohio State fans felt offended that they're not taking up enough space in Kyle Whittingham's head.
Yeah.
Which, again, that's part of what Whit is really good at, is aggravating the other fan base. So we still have an entire college football season before we get to that final week, right?
The game.
I honestly think this is all... Whit knows exactly what he's doing. He knows that this is, no offense to the Holy War, he knows this is the biggest rivalry in the country.
Yes. He said in that first clip.
He knows what he's doing. He knows how to get underneath his rival's skin, whether it's the players or the fan base. He knows what to say to rile. The most aggravating thing would not be for him to get up there and be like, oh, I hate Ohio State, bleep them, bleep Ryan Day. I want to go out and kick the crap out of them, That doesn't piss Ohio State off.
No.
No, the most frustrating thing is to not pay them any mind.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to rile them up, and he knows that.
I did like and I did enjoy the reaction you saw online from both fan bases, and a lot of overreaction from the fans up there in Ann Arbor, saying that Kyle Whittingham's in over his head. He doesn't understand Michigan, not built for Michigan, which is so silly. I know you want to aggravate. I know you want to, rile up everybody and say, yeah, I hate Ryan Day and he sucks. And, but it's just not the Kyle Whittingham way.
It's not. No, he definitely has a place in his heart for rivalries.
Right.
And he is one of the most competitive people on this entire planet.
But he's not going to say he hates Ryan Day. Again, as you said, to make crap up.
You are a fool if you think that Kyle Whittingham is not thinking about that game.
Mm-hmm.
But he also knows how to make it a show. And this is the first part of that.
Absolutely.
By not paying them any mind at the end of July, that makes Ohio State fans a little upset. I think that's going to be a really
and churlish.
I think that's going to be a really fun game.
At Karen for Darren in the YouTube comments, you can't spell Buckeyes without BYU.
Is that true?
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, technically.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Don't tell Whit.
I love that.
Coming up the rest of the day on the station, we've got a busy day as always. Real Salt Lake at St. Louis FC. That's going to be on the 97.5 signal. 5:30 pregame there, 6:30 first kick. Then on the 1280 side, you're going to have the Salt Lake Bees at the Sugarland Space Cowboys. That is a 5:50 p.m. pregame, 6:05 first pitch. Tomorrow, you're going to have the Utah Royals at home taking on the Portland Thorns. That will be on 97.5 with a 4:30 pregame, 5 p.m. kick. JP Chunga on the call, as always. And then the Bees tomorrow, final game of the Sugarland series. It's a 5:20 p.m. pregame, 5:35 first pitch. That will be on 1280. Alex, going to be a busy show next week.
Absolutely. Again, we'll wait to see what happens with all this legislation and all these bills, and we're excited to talk about it next week.
Any other free agency news? Oh, we've got an NFL preseason game on Thursday.
And we have a preseason game. Let's go!
That is one more thing that we will be able to talk about. Can't wait for next week's show. Big thanks to Parker today producing. Thanks to you, Alex, and I'm Christian. We'll catch you next week. It's the Saturday show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.